the day is long. I literally have driven all day. We pull into a gas station at 9:00 and I'm like, Kathy, I'm super tired. I can't go on driving. So can you drive? And then let's really try to find a place to stay because we all are cash and we just need to put this day behind us and start again tomorrow. Kathy turns to me before we even pull out of this gas station. Dead serious. I can't even get it out. Dead serious. And she's like, I'm happy to drive, but I can only drive until 10. And then I'm past. I'm done. It was 9:00 at night. Yeah. I was like, wait, what? What? You have it out? She's like, yeah, I don't night drive. Peter does all that. Peter's not here. Like, that would have been good information hours ago. Welcome to Three Little Fishes. We're three sisters who grew up in the Midwest together, but have since spread across the country. I live in Los Angeles.
I'm in Nashville.
And I live in Philadelphia. We are all married with children. We've all had careers, but now we stay at home with our families.
We've all been through ups and downs that come along with life and have always helped each other through, shared stories, and laughed together.
We welcome all of you into our daily conversations and hope you have some fun with us.
So let's jump in.
Hello, and welcome to Three Little Fishes. We're so happy that you're listening to us. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel or to wherever you're listening to your podcasts. We would love to have you rate and review us, leave us a message. We would love for just to hear from you, whatever you have to say. All right, y'all, let's jump in. I just thought I'd do a quick check-in. We have had a good week here. My parents were just here visiting, and my mom, or our mom, I should say, is a big Dodgers fan, which, funny, we did not know this until recently.
No idea.
That she was a lifelong Dodger fan.
No idea.
So it was in her bucket list to go to a Dodgers game. So we finally got to do that. Yep. We went to a Friday night game and she got to see the new pitcher Ohtani, who everybody's talking about. And he hit a home run. So that was exciting.
Oh, that's fun.
He did? The pitcher did?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
They don't really hit, do they?
Right.
But he is injured, so he wasn't pitching, but he did hit. So we did get to see him. Okay. We did get to see him hit a home run. And unfortunately, the Dodgers lost on Friday night, but at least we got to see that. And it was a fun, exciting game. It went into overtime or over innings. How do you say that?
Extra innings.
Yes, that. And then they got to see Johanna was in her dance recital, her end of the year dance recital. And it was adorable, and she did amazing, and I'm so glad we all got to see her do that.
Yeah, that's fun.
And then we also did a first with them. The Ronald Reagan Presidential Library is out here, and we've never taken mom and dad, so they got to see that, and it was actually, kind of neat to see those. Yeah. And we got to walk on his Air Force One, and it was pretty neat. And the Star Wars movie tours there right now too, so we got to do that.
Oh, that's cool.
It was a good visit.
Glad you got to see them.
What's going on with the rest of you, Kathy? What's happening out there?
To be honest, it's been a morning for me. I have been up very early with the dog. My kids, or Carson had a lacrosse tournament this morning, and he's like all banged up from his previous game where I had to bandage his leg because he has like a huge raspberry on it that's like oozing. So I had to do that.
Did you
at
do
7
tea
o'clock
tree
this
oil?
morning to get him ready so he could go on his way.
Kathy, did you hear the question? Did you use tea tree? Did you use tea tree oil?
No, I didn't use tea tree. I should have. Probably.
Linda thinks that's like the healing of all healings.
I know.
It actually does really work.
I probably should actually get some more. I had some, but we ran out. So, but Carson wasn't impressed because it hurts,
Yeah,
I'm sure it does. Yeah.
So he was probably nervous too about his thing today. So anyway, and then that. But those days when you're just feel like things are off. Mm-hmm. Like I'm having one of those days Like
I'm sorry.
I went to the grocery. I had to get some things because I have some golf this afternoon. That's why I'm dressed like this. And I won't have a lot of time to prepare dinner. So I wanted to get it done ahead of time. So I went and I was like, oh, I'm proud of myself. I'm getting all this stuff. And then I put it in the car. Well, in Pennsylvania, you can't have bags anymore. So
Right.
everything's like loose.
Reusable. You have to use
Reusable.
And,
reusable
and I
bags.
Yeah.
always forget my bags anyway, which is on me. But I bought this like soap for cleaning dishes and I bought like 4 bottles of it and I laid it in the car. When I got home and opened the back of the tailgate, one of the bottles, the lid completely came off and the entire bottle of soap is all over the car and all over my
Nightmare.
groceries.
Nightmare.
And I'm
Oopsies.
like, and then I got
Whoopsies.
it all over me and my skirt. I'm just like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time. Like,
Well, I mean, if there's an upside, do you have mats on the back of that of your car?
I do.
It will give it a good clean.
It's only soap, I guess. But it got all over the
But
groceries.
it's another step. I get
Yeah.
it. Another
Yeah.
step of your day that you have to deal
sure.
with because it's
Just
a
like,
mess.
why
You got to
did that
pull it out
happen
and hose
today?
it down.
What would cause that whole top to come off?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe somebody unscrewed it in the store to smell it. to see if it smelled good and they didn't re-screw it. I don't know.
Good idea.
So anyway,
Linda, what's happening out there?
Nothing major. We're experiencing, a heat wave. So I did my exercise early this morning.
oh, good for
We
you.
have to say goodbye to one of our pets this week, so we're kind of like doing that. Stinks. I'm
I
sorry,
didn't mean to laugh at the pet. That was really somber, but I was laughing at Kathy.
That's okay.
But for those who missed it, they have to put their dog Penny down on Thursday, so that is really
Yes.
sad. I'm sorry.
Sad.
And Linda, that is a very, because we just did that. I really do feel for you guys.
Yeah, it stinks.
Penny was a fabulous dog.
Yes. So,
But you want to remember her that way. You don't want her to get
no,
so
it's time.
bad that you're less.
she's got cancer, and I don't want her to suffer. So it's it's a blessing, kind of.
Yeah.
But anyway, other than that, I am just gearing up for my road trip that I'm taking on Saturday. I have a big road trip, and that's what we're talking about today.
So your road trip is where? Tell our listeners where you're road tripping to.
I'm road tripping it up to mom and dad's summer house in Western Ontario. So from Nashville, where I live, it's about 22 hours all in. I'm stopping in the Chicagoland area to pick up a couple of friends and then meeting up with D1 in northern Minnesota and then driving up. So my basement.
I was going to say, she was Sarah, right?
Yeah, with Sarah. So Sarah and her roommate Max are going to drive together from Virginia because that's where they both are.
Is she coming up too, Max?
She is.
Oh,
That's nice.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the girls are going to drive together and I'll meet up with them in northern Minnesota. And then we're going to spend the night and then we're going to finish our trip. And then I contacted our caretaker who is going to come pick us up in town on Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
So we have a little space in the basement that is full of supplies that I'm bringing up, and I have to finish organizing that today. I feel like today or tomorrow.
So all things today, we're going to talk about road trips and how do you all get ready for road trips?
I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit about this funny movie that is like a throwback movie to road trips. National Lampoon's Vacation with Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo. And I ended up watching it and it just brought back so many funny lines that I just started laughing. My husband and I watched it.
Kathy,
Like,
nobody loves a good Chevy Chase movie more than you. Like you just think
you love that.
Well, he's so funny, and honestly, one of my best friends always said our dad was kind of like Chevy Chase. So our dad is kind of like him. So I think
No,
that's
he's
why
not.
I do. I think
He's
he
not.
is totally with like his sense of humor sometimes.
Are you trying to say that Dad
Um,
like can't tie a tree on a car? He can't tie a tree on a car.
But this movie also has Eugene Levy in it, and I
Oh
think he
yeah,
is
he's
hilarious.
so funny.
So many things from like Schitt's
Mhm.
Creek. But I forgot about Chevy Chase. Is like he wants to go trade in his old like wagon to get a newer blue wagon. And oh, you have to order that. So you're gonna get the pea green Wagoneer. So they end up going like cross country in this pea green wagon, and it's just hilarious. And
Yeah, it's so funny.
I don't know if you guys remember, but Christy Brinkley was in it too.
She
She's like in
was.
the red Ferrari, and
Yeah.
she pulls up next to him, and he's like
Yeah.
checking her out. I mean, there's just so many funny lines in that movie. It's so funny, but they
Yeah.
like go from
They did not
Chicago.
do their proper planning, however, I would say, for their road trip.
Yeah. But I think because they were like from the Midwest, they started Chicago and then they go west out to Los Angeles because they want to get to Wally World. It just like reminds me of our family because we do these crazy road trips,
We did.
and I just find it so funny.
What road trip were you thinking in particular that happened to us?
We definitely have had some. I can think of one in particular. We used to have like a, what do you call it, conversion van?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Remember that big van we had
van
that
went
had the table
everywhere.
in it that we played cards?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of
And
like a little RV, right? Before they had like RV vans,
yeah,
right?
and it had like a TV in it. Remember that? And we'd all
'Cause
pile
it
in
had
this thing.
they had taken the roof off and expanded it.
Because I was so short, I could stand in it. I could stretch and stand. That's how short I was. And I guess still am. As you know, I'm shrinking. Like I could stand in this van.
You are
But
not
our
shrinking.
dad was like Chevy Chase. I mean, growing up, we always took these like crazy outdoor adventures. We'd go to Canada or Minnesota and go in this conversion van, and we would trailer the boat behind us. And as a young teenager, I remember one time we got a flat tire on the trailer, and we were like only 20 miles from home.
I remember that.
And we were like,
Yeah.
what
the
is
heck?
happening?
Yeah.
So my dad like got the spare and changed the tire, and then he always like oiled the bearings. He's like, you got to oil them because they get hot. I'm like, okay.
Grease the bearings.
Oh, that's right. Grease them.
Grease the bearings.
Well, then I think the next time we got another flat was in Wisconsin. And
Yeah.
we ended up having to go to Farm and Fleet. Do you remember that?
Yes.
It's like a kind of like a Home Depot,
Right.
right? But it's
Right.
more like,
But not as fancy. If
Farmy.
Home Depot, if
Like
Home
they have
Depot
like
is
bags of like
Yeah.
grain and meal for the like pigs and cows and
Correct.
chickens and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. But he got, I think, a couple spare tires.
We're obviously city kids.
And then I think as we kept going north, we got another flat.
We
And
did.
then
We
I
got
think
three
we used
flats
our
that
last
trip.
spare. I mean, it was like a comical.
It was
road
a
trip.
comedy of errors for sure.
I
We were
think-
all like, are we not supposed to be going? Like, what's happening? Should we turn
Well,
around?
I just remember I talked to Mom about it. I think we went through 6 tires.
Yeah.
6 flat tires.
Well, I
It
think
was-
the crazy thing about it too is Dad is always so safety conscious, like
Oh my God.
almost to his detriment that he has to like OCD like check it 10 times. So the fact that we were having so many problems, it was bananas.
Well, honestly, I think this trip, I was thinking about that. I think that's why Dad is obsessed with trailer safety because he's always like, because when Grayson got his boat and with the jet skis, he's like, did you guys, what is it, grease the bearings?
Grease your bearing.
Did you guys get it all checked out? I mean,
Yeah.
It's because of that trip, I swear.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah, it was
a rough
hard. It
trip.
was a hard trip.
That was.
Yeah. I mean,
That's one of many hard
Yeah.
trips.
road trips in America are just like the American pastime, right? I mean, everybody does an American road trip. It's kind of like the rite of passage, sort of. And I did a little bit of digging for history. And, you know, in the 18th and 19th centuries, people used to travel by carriage, right? Then they go to their countryside homes by carriage.
Well,
And then in the 20th,
the rich did. Not everybody did that.
correct.
The
Well,
rich.
correct. Then by the early 20th centuries, the carriage was kind of becoming like on the way out and automobiles were coming in. But automobiles still in the 1900s were for the rich. So the first road trip was in 1903 in the summer. And it was by a physician, actually. His name was Horatio Jackson, and he was a prominent medical doctor. And he was just really into automobiles. And he had made a bet with a friend that he would travel cross country for like $50. And he would travel from San Francisco across country. But the weird thing about the bet was he didn't even own a car. So he had to like go buy a car, and he bought it's a Winton, which is, I was trying to think of what it even looks like, but it was a 20 horse powered car, but it was completely open.
Right.
Like it didn't have a windshield or anything.
Can you imagine the bugs?
Yeah. I mean, he
The bugs.
asked this guy, Sewall Crocker, to go with him because he was like a mechanic. And then he'd also be like an extra driver. So the two of them, and then their dog,
It's like a little buddy film.
yeah, came with them. And then they packed like sleeping bags. They packed their guns. They packed extra gas and oil on their journey. And I guess their journey was like pretty rough because the roads, you know, at that time, there weren't highways,
Right.
right? They were just
Yeah, it
like,
was like dirt. And
so
Primitive.
they got like we did, several flat tires. They got low on money. They got low on food. I think they went for several days without even eating.
Oh,
And then they finally arrived in New York. I think it took them 63 days. But the crazy thing about the whole trip is they said it cost $8,000. And that, like today, would be like $260,000.
yeah, it's a lot.
I mean, that's a lot of money.
That's not
can you imagine-
economical, in my opinion.
And that really,
Which is
you know, you didn't
One
win
of
your
the
money
reasons I
back
drive.
for $50. That bet was, he came on the short end of that
Well, I
bet.
don't even think they said they even paid it. But then it was because he, you know, that was only for the affluent people. There were very few cars back then.
Right.
But then by like the 1800s, there were more interstates that were made.
Yeah.
And then after World War II,
the
you know,
Industrial
was like
Revolution.
a boom. And then cars became more affordable. And then I think by like 1960, they said the average cross country trip took like 4 days.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think the big draw for people is just that, you know, now we have all these national parks you can see, museums, like, you know,
there's
you
a lot
just,
to do.
you know, like stop in every city for something like the St. Louis Arch or you know, the Grand Canyon or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, there's so many.
Well, I mean, it depends on what you're doing. Like a road trip to go and see all the sites is one kind of a trip. Like I'm leaving on Saturday. I have a destination in mind. So I'm not necessarily stopping along the way. Now on my way
Right.
home, sometimes if I'm without my husband, because he doesn't like to stop, I'll stop with the kids and we'll stop and like see a site. Like we, for some reason, always stop at like an Amish place for lunch or,
Right.
you know, we'll do like a antique mall on the side of the road or whatever. So the road trip, like to go across country and see all the sites is one trip. And then there's the destination road trip, I feel like, which is what we
Right.
did growing up. Getting in the
Well-
car and going because we had a dog with us. We had kids with us. It's more economical than flying. You can get into more remote places. So
Right.
it's just a different road trip.
Well, I remember you had vacation time, like not like now, some people are retired, but we're not retired. So we have like a
No.
week off. So it's like you're trying to get there, enjoy
Right.
your
We're not trying
time,
to see
right?
Wally World.
No, we're not
trying to
seeing
like
Wally
just
World.
get there.
No.
Um,
No.
Although I
they-
do want to see places like the world's largest skillet or the world's largest ball of yarn. You see those in like movies. Like, where are they? I think it would be a hoot to see that
So
stuff.
I actually have a friend who does this. She goes and she will stop and see like the biggest paper clip
Yeah.
or the biggest ball of yarn or the first whatever. And she posts, and every year she does this like list of like 20 or 30 things that she wants to do with the kids. And her kids are big now. They're like my kids' age. And she does it. I mean, it's amazing.
I kind of love that.
I mean, it's amazing. Yeah.
a road trip, they say, has to be 13 hours of driving,
Oh.
5 days,
Oh.
4 passengers. You stop every 2 hours, which my husband never does.
No.
You're kind of in an SUV, sort of. And then you have the snacks, which I the snack. I honestly, if I was a trucker driver, I'd be so fat because I would eat all the time.
There is something about like driving that makes you you're so bored, you just can't help yourself. And then you just like, you got a snack.
I just had one more like little tidbit about the history because I found this kind of funny. There was a survey. They surveyed Americans, okay? It's not just like whatever. 80% of Americans say it's a great way to bond the family. Do it around.
Well,
79% say it's important. It's a rite of passage for young people. 86% say it's the best way to test a romantic relationship. I mean, this was a little
I
racy.
believe that.
This was racy. They said 1 in 4 say they had sex in the car during the road trip.
well, you know what? I guess it's better than fighting and not speaking to each other, right?
Yeah.
And then 62% of Americans say they go on more road trips now than before the pandemic. So that kind of sums up my little history.
I believe that. Because airline tickets are so expensive. It's ridiculous.
Well, I think there is something to say about a good road trip.
Well, you know what's so interesting too is like the road trip for our family has changed a lot. Like technology has changed so much, like
Yeah.
back in the day, we would all listen to the movies that the kids would be watching in the back. So I know all the words to like every Disney movie.
Dora the Explorer.
Find the map.
But now everybody has their own device and I don't really hear them that much. And we don't.
Do you know what
interact that
actually
much.
made me laugh about going back to that National Lampoon's movie? Is they were singing songs in the car. And I just always was thinking about us because we used to always sing camp songs in the car.
Yeah. Or John Denver or
John
my
Denver,
or
Barry
Barry
Manilow.
Manilow. Yes, I still love Barry.
Me
The
too.
Barry.
To this day. To this
Now,
day,
if I
still
try
do.
and put that on, my kids are like, "What is this? This is terrible!" And
I
they have
just
their
feel-
own playlist that they want to play, and I'm like,
Yes.
"Okay, I'm in."
Yes.
Just as long as it's not that yucky rap.
Which is a struggle right now for us. That I don't love that either. You know what I was thinking about in particular, like when we had our kids were like younger, much younger, and they were babies, and we were up visiting mom and dad for the summer up north in Canada. And I was road tripping at home and we thought we would caravan. So Linda, you had your big car. Kathy had your car. So mom rode with you, Linda. So you would have 2 adults in your car. And I rode with Kathy. So she would have 2 adults in her car. And do you remember that it was a hard trip for us. So because we had
so many levels.
we had kids getting car sick. And we had to stop like every 2 minutes, it felt like. And the poor kids, they were so sick. Some of them were so sick. And then it was so
Couldn't find a place to stay.
we couldn't find a hotel. And
It's
I
awful.
started out driving in Kathy's car, and she handled the sickness because she's the doctor. You know, she has medical. I'm like, you can do this, and I'll just drive. And so the day is long. I literally have driven all day. We pull into a gas station at 9:00 at night. Linda, do you remember this? And I'm like, Kathy,
vividly.
I'm like, I'm like, I'm super tired. I can't go on driving. So can you drive? And then let's really try to find a place to stay because we all are cashed and we just need to put this day behind us and start again tomorrow.
Right.
So we get in the car. Mom is in your car. We're texting each other back and forth. She's on trying to find a hotel. And Kathy turns to me before we even pull out of this gas station. Dead serious, Nancy. I can't even get it out. Dead serious. And she's like, I'm happy to drive, but I can only drive until 10. And then I'm cashed. I'm done. It was 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? What? You have an hour? She's like, yeah, I don't night drive. Peter does all that. Peter's not here. Like, that would have been good information hours ago.
Right. And our kids weren't old enough to drive yet.
I know.
Nancy, I'm happy to drive, but I'm good until 10. What?
I know. It's my contacts start to like get dry, and then I'm like, I can't see. It's just
I
bad.
feel like that was critical information to know before 9 p.m.
100%. I mean, dead serious. I'm happy to drive. I'm good for an hour.
I know. That place that we ended up staying was also awful.
I thought we were going to get murdered, honestly.
That was terrible.
It was terrible. It was like one of those old-fashioned motels.
Cloves.
It was not good.
I know. It was like Bates Motel, right? Like, was somebody going to come knock at our door? Like, do.
I think I even had a puppy with me, and I had the little kids, and my husband was not with us. And it was like one of those one-floor motels. So I put a chair up against the doorknob just to make sure nobody could murder us. And I'm in the bed with the puppy and I think one of my little kids. And I look over and there's this huge bay window right next to my bed. And I thought, I mean, what's the point of putting the chair in front of the door? All they have to do is go right through this stupid window that's ginormous. It's like half the wall.
I mean,
I did not sleep. I should have just kept driving.
I think I only brushed my teeth, like looked at it and used bottled water. I was like, let's get out of here.
It was a terrible, terrible place.
I mean, the good news, we all survived. But I did learn something critical from that trip from that point on.
Don't ride with Kathy.
Don't ride with Kathy. I have a bag in my car to this day that I have like Dramamine in it. I have like Pepto-Bismol. I have like Band-Aids, and I also have. I don't want to talk about this too much because I feel like we lean into this in the show a lot. But like a bag, if you're going to be ill, like they have in hospitals, I have them stashed all over my car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good.
That's my little tip for that.
I like it. Well, this afternoon I'm getting my car looked at. It's getting its oil changed, its tires rotated, air, filters replaced, just getting the once over. So I know that it's road ready for my long trip. So, and then I'm going to get it cleaned because I like to start a trip clean. And I also have a bag of medicine in my car, and then I keep like little trash bags in my car, and then when I fill up I throw all the trash out. But I travel with dogs, so the car gets trashed. I mean, and Mother Nature always throws like a rainstorm at me, so I get wet dog, mud.
I'm thinking of our friend Todd, who rides with you often, and he has to prepare himself for wet dog.
Oh, he's mentally already prepared, and he's bringing spray. He's like, I have to spray this car because it's terrible. I mean, and he's not wrong. I mean, when you get in an enclosed space
dog
for so
smell
long,
is gross.
It's not great.
Gross.
It's not great. But and then I think my other tip for anybody who's going on a road trip is have an atlas, even if you have navigation system, because sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And sometimes Waze doesn't work, or Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever. So I always have an atlas in the car just in case. And, if you know you're going to stop, make your reservations in advance. Like that trip that we were talking about, I mean, that was a hard lesson learned, I will tell you.
Right.
Like I try so hard now to plan ahead.
Desperate.
I mean, that was not good and not safe.
I'm not good after 10.
Stop. Linda, that is so true. I don't actually think my kids even know what a real map is.
Yeah. I mean,
I
I
mean,
make them.
They're
help
like,
me.
Grayson's always like, let me pull it up on my phone.
I know. But
I'm like-
sometimes when you get in remote places that you don't have good internet service. So I always have an atlas in the car.
Yeah, that's a
In
good
fact,
tip.
I just bought a new one. Yeah, those are my I used to pack like sandwiches and stuff like that in a little cooler, but we never ate it. So now I just take like gum and mints and granola bars, and then I do try and keep waters in the car. And then, of course, we stop for fast food because that's a treat
Right.
on the road.
Well, that's the road trip, right? The snacks and the junk.
Snacks and the like splurging. But it's rough because you eat like a cheeseburger that you don't normally eat, and then you're sitting there in the car and you can just kind of feel yourself get bigger and bigger. At least I can.
Do you know what I love on a road trip that I don't eat very often, but I love it? Are orange slices. You guys remember the orange slices?
I love orange
Yeah,
slices.
those
So
are
good. So
Yeah.
good. That's my guilty
Rocks
pleasure.
are the best. They're the best.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So happy road tripping, all of our listeners. We hope you have like a good adventure
happy
sometime this summer, and get out there, hit the road, plan appropriately so you have a good trip.
So ladies, what's for dinner? I can start if you want.
Sure.
I will tell you what we're having.
Go ahead.
Speaking of burgers, I am making steak burgers on our grill. They're so delicious. And I'm going to post our recipe in the notes. They're super good.
That does sound really good. I have a pork roast in the crock pot that I'm going to shred, and we're going to have barbecue pork sandwiches for dinner.
That sounds good too.
Yeah.
We are having actually chicken on the grill with a potato and salad.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you, listeners, for listening to our podcast and letting us sisters jump into your day. Please make sure to follow, rate, and review us. We want your feedback. We all hope you have fabulous travels this summer, and be safe and have a great weekend. Sisters out.